Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today and for this very short webinar to discuss how chatbots are enhancing customer engagement and communication across multiple industry sectors. And we're going to look at a couple of use cases as well to showcase how companies have taken this from a traditional, like a classic text-based chatbot, and where they've actually built applications and tool sets on top of it. So we do live in a very, very odd time right now. I mean, COVID-19 has changed the world for the good and bad and everything. And it doesn't look like it's actually going to disappear anytime soon. And this has led to, most companies are struggling to find ways to communicate with their customers, especially now that their physical locations are closed to the public with all the lockdowns happening around the world. I mean, one thing that COVID-19 has done, it has fueled the use of chatbot technology, and from going beyond the traditional as a text-based knowledge FAQ type of chatbot to more like virtual assistants. And this automated technology can prove to be very valuable to companies and brands during these uncertain and stressful times. Give you a classic example. I mean, the chatbots are also helping to fight against, misinformation. Singapore government has created golf.sg, and everybody sort of joins this WhatsApp group, and on a daily basis you get one or two or sometimes multiple messages back from the government, and the chatbot service is implemented to answer really pressing questions about COVID-19, and it does really help to fight against fake news and ensure that the public does not find themselves in an unnecessary situation and panic and start panicking. And that's, after all, what fake news ends up doing. And the latest technology developments for artificial intelligence and natural language processing, you can start analyzing the chat communication between the customers and yourself and the company. And from this, you can start figuring out whether the customers are really getting the answers that they're looking for, or is the frustration levels increasing, and how do you actually sort that out and stuff like that. So there's these technologies you can actually deploy and add on to your current chatbots to really enhance the offering. So let's look at the chatbot game. It's a game changer for businesses in multiple different industry sectors, from hospitality industries to telecommunications to manufacturing to shipping to e-commerce, you name it. And companies are looking to onboard chatbot systems because, think about it, you're able to answer a lot of the questions for your customers, right? And in a quicker time period, as opposed to actually locking down staff members to answer the mundane, normal, frequently asked questions that keep popping up. Let a chatbot sort of handle that, and the customer services team kind of looks at things that are require more sort of investigation and further sort of assessment. So the classic repetitive nature of inquiries can be automated, and this will definitely reduce call volume, because what companies are seeing is there's an increased call volume on the call centers because they're not able to get their answers. Their normal website doesn't answer stuff, and so the increased call volume occurs. And with a chatbot, that's what companies are trying to do, is how to reduce that. It also helps with communication within departments. And I'm going to show you a use case of a technology company that's actually implemented a chatbot and integrated systems across multiple different departments, and how the users and employees are actually benefiting from this. So chatbots are definitely a game changer, and the technology is constantly evolving, and it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. They are the future of communication. I mean, they're intelligent, they're effective, and they're engaging. There are companies that have created chatbots, and not only answering the normal, questions for the customer, such as do Telecom in Dubai, where you can actually ask what's happened to your mobile phone plan, what's your billing, is there a network, is there a network problem? So the basic questions that customers may have if they have a disruption in the services. But the same instance, the chatbot that they've created and added to, you can ask all sorts of other things. You can ask the chatbot to tell you the weather. And it does respond back and giving you the weather pattern, what the forecast is like, what the time for the sunrise and sunset is, what's the temperature, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty intuitive, and they're adding more and more services to this. There are times that they've actually seen customers just interacting with the chatbot and just enjoying doing it because it's got so effective and they're intelligent now. So we're bringing these technologies in will enhance their entire customer experience that they have with your brand. It'll alleviate any sort of aggravation or issues that the customers have that could have been resolved very quickly, and now it does, and it actually enhances, like I said, the entire customer experience. Let's look at the way chatbots, you can interconnect IoT devices and create conversations. And these conversations can be automated. And to give you an example, in the hospitality, you want to order a room service. Instead of actually having to pick up a phone, you simply chat with a chatbot and ask what's on the menu, what's the soup of the day today, and the chatbot responds back. And you're now actually having a communication with a chatbot and placing an entire order with the chatbot, which then confirms to you. And after that, it's actually connected to their own food and beverage ordering system internally. And the next thing you know, within 20, 30 minutes later, your doorbell rings in your room and your food gets delivered. You're looking at commercial offices where security threats can be mitigated in some sense, where, for example, a particular parcel is left on the floor, the security cameras picks it up through visual recognition. It identifies that as a box and immediately raises a flag to the security systems and also sends an automated message to the security officer on duty asking them to go and investigate. So there are a lot of ways that you can actually use the chatbot. If you want to actually extend this to true home-based IoT or home automation, imagine you have a dishwasher, and the dishwasher starts communicating with you. So you've loaded the whole dishwasher. It's actually washed all your dishes, and now it actually messages you back saying, "I have done all the dishes. It's clean. Now someone needs to empty me." And so, and if there's anything wrong with the system, it actually messages back and says, "Look, I think I need service, and here's the service number or people you can actually talk to," and you can then continue that conversation with the brand. So there are a lot of ways that you can actually extend the use of a chatbot. Let's look at some of the technologies. With natural language processing, you can run sentiment analysis, tone. You can do a tone analyzer. So you want to be able to understand that when a customer is actually writing back to the chatbot, are they getting annoyed? Are they getting frustrated? What's the sentiment and tone of the conversation that's taking place? And you can also understand the intent of the question that the customer is asking. Because they can actually ask this, there may be an answer that's available, and it's not a simple, they have to basically ask in this specific way to get this specific answer, because that's the old way of doing things. The customer may have multiple ways of asking for the same thing. It depends on who that customer is. And so chatbots using natural language processing can start understanding the communication channels and figuring out exactly what is the most relevant answer to push back to the customer. And it can actually have a feedback loop where it's constantly learning and developing itself. You can actually embed this into accounting systems. And, if your invoice hasn't been paid or there is an outdated, or you've actually paid an invoice that the accounting company or the company is chasing for, you can actually reply back and then it'll actually say, yes, okay, we've actually double-checked in our bank accounts, everything's fine, we've received your money, thank you very much. Instead of having to pick up a phone and start getting frustrated with the company because they haven't communicated properly to you. So again, the extension of a chatbot could be multiple different ways. You don't have to have it on an online environment itself. So someone doesn't have to go to your particular website and then pull up a live chat environment or just click on it and say it's a chatbot and start chatting on screen. You can extend the use of a chatbot into things like Facebook Messenger. You can integrate it into WhatsApp. You can integrate it into WeChat, Telegram, Line. You name the environments and you can integrate a chatbot environment into these. So allowing the customer to be able to communicate with you in the normal applications that they use on a day-to-day basis. So you're trying to humanize machine-to-machine communication, or humanize in communication channels. So let's look at this as a case study. BOSCH. Now, BOSCH in Singapore has integrated and IoT devices with a smart chatbot environment and visual recognition systems and everything else to create a very, very smart offering to their employee base. And there is a short 2-minute, less than 2-minute video that I'd like to play for you guys to showcase that. And I think words would not be able to describe it. So the video actually identifies the case. So let's move on to the video, and we'll get back in a minute. So BOSCH has actually extended this into multiple different ways as well. So an employee sitting at their desk is looking to go to the gym and figuring out whether the gym has got any space, as you can see from the video. And the system actually takes a photograph of what's available in the gym, overlays that with previous empty gym, and then identifies how busy it is. The food and menu is perfect. You know, what's on the menu today takes the camera in the cafeteria will take a photograph of what's laid out and then send that to you. So they have really extended the use and merged IoT and chatbots, and it's incredible. You know, now if your device or computer or something is down or broken or there's a leak, the facilities management, we've seen the responses actually are within a minute, and that's incredible. That's never happened in industries where facilities management will actually respond to a ticket in less than a minute. It happens here now. Let's look at the next use case here, which is for Do Telecom. And as mentioned earlier, Do it's not just about the normal traditional Q&A that the customer has. What's my bill? When's my contract ending? You know, do I have enough data available, and so forth? Which the chatbot is able to answer all of that. But it actually takes it even further. It actually starts giving you answers in different languages itself. So you can actually have a conversation with it, not just by typing, but also by recording a audio through WhatsApp and submitting that. It will transcribe the audio in whatever language that has been sent in, so in this case Arabic. It will then provide the answer back, and it'll understand the intent of the question that the customer is asking. And you can also then go into things like, what's the weather today? What's the latest news today, and stuff like that. So it's creating a very user-friendly communication channel. So here's a quick one, which is a traditional, when a customer is asking for, what's my, I'm a prepaid customer and do I have a roaming plan or something, and that chatbot's able to answer. These are the normal sort of FAQ environments that you can actually handle, and a chatbot can actually use. So what the future looks like? Well, there are new technologies driving business opportunities. We know that. And it's some of the limitations are as far as your imagination. It doesn't have to be a traditional list and FAQ list and believe that that's where chatbots actually reside. They can get really, really smart. And literally, it's down to the limitation of your imagination. And there's a wider use of chatbot technology, across the industry sectors, and it has really been accelerated by COVID-19. So the use of these technologies is enhancing customer experiences. It's actually reducing call center overload. It's reducing the load on even live chat environments and so on and so forth. So companies are able to at least answer their customers' queries without, getting burdened by it. At least the companies that have actually implemented it. There are companies around the world and certain telecom operators that have not implemented chatbots and everything is on a live phone environment. And after COVID-19, they're really suffering due to the massive impact and influx of calls that are coming into their network that they cannot handle because pretty much everybody's working from home. So to try to manage that entire process become extremely complicated. And governance frameworks will need to be implemented in order to mitigate any chatbot risks. So when you're using natural language processing and you have got an understanding of a question that a person's asked, and you may have a couple of different responses, you're trying to identify which is the best response for the customer, and then later on you need to actually set up frameworks to understand how the customer is reacting to that answer. Did they really get the answer they were looking for, or are they repeating the question and then the chatbot's repeating the exact same answer, which is now frustrating the customer even more. So you need to create these type of process flows to understand what communication is actually occurring within the chatbots. So that's it for now. And just a very quick one from Adha Intelligence. We are a consulting practice. We look at, I lead the practice for artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have another vertical, which is cloud and cybersecurity, where we look at things from a hacker's perspective and the leakage of data within the deep and dark web. And we look at monetization and modernization of systems. So whenever you're upgrading your existing platforms and technology within your business environment, how are you able to best utilize them in that environment? And then, of course, you go to marketing, customer engagement. And so we look at an entire customer life cycle. Right from every company from e-commerce to let's look at e-commerce. You've got aspects of churn, so you need to understand exactly how you actually got the customer in the first place, and what created the churn, and what are the communication channels that are actually happening in the middle of this entire customer journey. That starts actually identifying the reasons of and the changes that you, as a company, you need to make to your marketing messaging. So we look at everything from the full cycle. That's us for Adha Intelligence, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you.